Oh, good morning. Welcome to Unity of Missoula. Thank you for all being here because earlier in the week when it was snowing, I was thinking, I'm going to be the only one there because I have to be there. Everybody else is going to stay home. But you didn't. You came because the weather got better and things. So thank you for being here. And thank all of you on Zoom for being there too. It's always a big choice to whether you come or you don't come and things. So it's great that we have this ability to connect with you. And a little special thank to Hopalong Kathy. Kathy had her knee operated on, so we can all refer to her as Hopalong Kathy now. So anyway, as you heard earlier, we're supposed to speak about this journey of faith that we are on. And as it is my custom, anytime Linda asks me these things, my mind just starts working on it right away. And I started thinking about what is a journey of faith. And the more I thought about it, and I don't know, a couple days later when I saw Linda, I said, I can't talk about a journey of faith. And I said, there's only one journey of faith that I know anything about, and that's my own. And I started thinking about that and said, what can you say to everybody else? What's important in this process of a journey of faith? And how do we get here and what do we do with it? All those questions that were going on in my head. But as a part of my spiritual practice, I do pray and meditate almost every morning, good percentage of the time. And I read from two books. One of them is called A Passport to God. This book right here. And as you can see, I read a lot of it and mark all kinds of pages in it. But there's one that really struck me as I was rereading some of these things. And I'd like to just read a little bit of it. It's on page 112 of this book. And this is what it says about a journey of faith. This journey that you have chosen to take, consciously and of your own free will. That's all I really need to read from that. I'm going to read some more. But think about what I just said, what the book said. That you chose. It was a conscious choice to be on this journey. I can think about how my mother sent me to church every place we ever lived. And I lived in a lot of different places in my lifetime. I went to Baptist churches. I went to Catholic churches. I went to Methodist churches. I went to congregational churches. I went to a bunch of different kinds of churches. My mother never went, not consistently. I can only remember 2 times in my life when she ever was at church, and I was there. But when I was 14 years old, walking down North Ventura Avenue in Ventura, California, I had a piece of gum or candy and I stuck it in my mouth and I threw the wrapper on the ground. I walked about 3 steps forward, I turned around and came back and picked up that wrapper. Because at that point in my life, I realized in my own mind what I thought was, this is not mine, this is God's. So, I'm going to reread what I read and a little bit more. So here's what, let's start again. This journey that you have chosen to take, consciously and of your own free will, has compelled you and will continue to compel you to surrender. Not to surrender to anything in this world, but ultimately to surrender to your own God flame, your sacred fire flame in your heart of your physical garment. To surrender to your own God presence, to surrender to the greater aspect of yourself. And as you do so, gradually, day after day, surrendering more and more of your attention, your vision, your senses, your faculty, and the very substance and energy that you use every waking and sleeping moment of your life. You begin to see the truth that Mother, Father, God are trying to teach you. How God is everywhere present and always acting. And the life is eternal. Life is immortal. Life is indestructible. Life is invincible because life is light and light is love. And you are the totality of the inner essence of this substance and flame. This is your true consciousness, your true Christ self. This journey of faith that we've all taken was a choice. And I hate to point this out, but we've already heard that today. We create our lives by what we choose. We can stop right there, by what we choose to think, feel, and believe if you want to add on to it. But that choice to be on this journey of faith, I decided that I liked the idea that it was an evolution of faith, just because it has a more positive turn to the terms, because evolving tends to mean that things are getting better. And I think that's exactly what has happened. That as we have gone through this process of all the places we've attended, churches or spiritual groups, or the books we've read, or the talks we've heard, or all those places that we go for spiritual growth, we are evolving in that. And that's so very, very important, that we're not stagnant. God is waiting for us to come into our Christ's nature. I truly believe that. And we're on our way, all of us. As I began to think about this, I read something else in this book, someplace, Passports of God, about uniqueness. And I wanted to find it, and I read and read and read and read and read. I could not find it for the life of me. And that's real frustrating, because when I hear words that really inspire me, and then I can't find them, that's frustrating. But the divine works in strange ways. You know, Hopalong Kathy gave me this book, The Awakening, the Book of Awakening, some months ago. I'm not sure what she was trying to do. I think she was just being nice. But in any case, on the 6th, which is just this week, I got up and read the page on January 6th. And this is what Mr. Mark Nepo says in this book. He says, "What we reach for may be different, but what makes us reach is the same." I love that. And then he goes on and he says, "I imagine that each of us is a spoke on an infinite wheel, and though each spoke is essential to keeping the wheel whole, no two spokes are the same. The rim of the wheel is our living sense of community, family, and relationships. But the common hub where all the spokes join is the one center where all souls meet. So as I move out into this world, I live out my uniqueness, but when I dare to look into my core, I come upon a common center where all lives begin. In that center, we are one, the same, and in this way we live out the paradox of our oneness and the sameness. In this way we live out the paradox of our of being both unique and the same. When I look deep enough into you, I find me, and when you dare to hear my fear in the recesses of your heart, you recognize it is your secret that you thought no one else knew. And that unexpected wholeness, that is more than each of us, but common to all of us. At that moment of unity is the atom of God. The paradox of uniqueness and oneness. If any one of those spokes are taken out of this wheel of life, this grand, grand wheel of life that each of us are a spoke in, that wheel is weakened. It will crack, it will fall apart. Do you get that? You and I, being one of those spokes in this grand wheel, are so unique, so important that without you and I, that wheel will fall apart. Ask anybody who's ridden a bicycle for very far and a spoke has gotten loose. That wheel is all of a sudden you're going to fall on your head and hurt yourself. But that's so important. It's so important for us to realize that as unique as we are, we're connected to the hub, that place of unity, that a place of oneness, that place of wholeness. In 2001, it's that place of the event horizon where we don't quite see what's beyond it, but that is the place of unity, that place of wholeness. That is so important. And as I kept thinking about this, those are the two things that I think are really, really important for us all to understand about our journey of faith, our evolution of faith. First of all, you chose to be here. Each and every one of us in 1,000 different ways. And that unique path that you are on is of the supreme importance to the whole. Your uniqueness, this piece that I wanted to read, I wish I could say it the way the book said it, but it basically said that God's gift, that uniqueness of yourself, is the gift that you have to give to the world. That's so important. So we're going to get a lot more information here in the next few weeks about this journey of faith that people are taking. But I really want you to remember how it was really a choice that you made. You can't blame Dick Rothermel. We could, but it won't work. We can't blame anybody. We're here because we're here and we chose to be here. And I'm sure, like me, you can find that one little moment in your life where you went, oh, I'm in this life and I'm not here alone. I'm here for a reason. I'm going to pick up my trash. And that idea that not only do we choose, but this gift we have to share is very, very important. But as all of you know, unity is practical Christianity. So what in the heck can I say to you, that's practical about this journey of faith, this evolution of faith that you're on? And I didn't discover these things. I remembered the 3 Ps. Well, actually, it isn't price, price, price either, like they do on television or with real estate. I think there are 6 of them, and the first 3 I want to think are the not so nice P's, the mean P's. And the mean P's are perfection, procrastination, and paralysis. Ooh, mean P's, bad P's, sneaky P's, trap P's, and these things, so what in the heck are these things? Well, the guy who was doing this workshop that I took, or class I took, started talking about the idea of being perfection, believing that we should be perfect. Well, I have to admit that the Christ in us, the divine in us, is perfect. Unfortunately, it's surrounded by this human thing, or whatever it is that we're embraced in. And that is not quite perfect yet. But if we live our lives as if everything we have to do is perfect, we'll soon find out that that just isn't true. That we can't be perfect. And this trap, this rabbit hole that you can go down with your perfection will lead you to start procrastinating. Oh, I can't do it perfect. Maybe I should let that go. I don't know. And you just keep, well, no, I can't quite maybe next week I'll be able to do it perfectly. Well, next week never comes. And you procrastinate to the point at which when it comes to that particular thing in your life, you become paralyzed. So, I'm going to tell you that watch out for that hole labeled perfection. I mean, I can give you a really, really silly example about how this thing works. 30 years ago, Louise and I bought the house that we're in. Some 20 years ago or 25 years ago, we needed a new heater, so we called one of Louise's clients from her insurance business, and he came over and with his company, his buddy, and they put in a new heater for us. And as he's walking by, he goes, "Did you put those two air vents in?" He goes, I said, "Yeah, I did." "Look at me, I fixed that." He said, "You shouldn't have never done that." That's all it took. This idea that I had done something good that was really done well, which it was, I shouldn't have ever done. So ever since that man told me that, I've been thinking, I look up at those vents and I said, I should fix that. Next winter, I will fix it when I have all this time in the house. I don't have to go outside and mow yards. That was 20 years ago. For some reason, this is the proof of evolution. I looked up at them last week and I fixed them. Took me all of 4 hours over 2 or 3 days, because you can't, when you mud and spray stuff on to make the texture look right and things. But I was in this trap of thinking I had to be perfect. So those are the sneaky peas, the bad peas, or whatever. So watch out for those things in your life. But there are some pleasant peas. Yay! Pleasant peas. The pleasant peas are patience, persistence, and perseverance. Patience, persistence, and perseverance. This is a long journey. I was 14 years old when I woke up. Some of you were much younger than that, I'm sure. And you start evolving at that point. And you got to be patient with it. It's a long trip. I'm pretty sure that there are a few people in this room that might even believe in incarnation, reincarnation. And they might even say that this trip, this journey of faith, this journey of evolving to your Christ self, takes lifetimes to do. Not a month, not a week, not a year, but lifetimes to do. So we must be patient with ourselves. And then the second one was persistence. If you have a spiritual practice, we need to practice that. If you read books about spiritual things, that's part of your practice. Continue to do that. You're all participating in a spiritual practice right now by being here and on Zoom and onto YouTube if they come and listen to that. So we're all practicing this thing. We're being persistent in this process. It brings us closer to our own divine self. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, I bring out the good in my life. I make contact with God and bring out the good in my life. Persistence. We got to keep working at it. But even when we're patient with ourselves and persistent with ourselves, we run into things called COVID, difficulties, things that separate us and keep us from being in the places we need to be or want to be in. That's the time for perseverance, knowing that if I can just hang in here for a little bit longer, this will change. That's so important, because this is not an easy trip. It's challenging. The divine is challenges every time we turn around. What is it that we need to be doing next? Repair the vents, Roger. It's so simple. But in this process of preparing for this talk, I overcame something that was bothering me, and it no longer has a hold on me or distracted me. Therefore, I have more energy for what God wants me to do. That divine within us has to be contacted. We have to reach in and find that to bring it forward, because you chose to be on this path. You are a unique gift to this whole world, not just this community, but the whole world. And without you and I and everyone else, we are not whole. Everyone. Second tenet of unity. God's divinity is in me and in everyone else. These tenets of our church, these principles that we talk about, are very divinely inspired. They are so important. So, be willing to accept that you chose to be here. Know that you're unique. Watch out for the terrible P's. Be conscious of the nice P's that's going to help you get along and through this thing. And know that, above all, we are loved and cared for. So, either I'm really fast or that clock is really slow. But we're going to go into our meditation now. But in that first thing I read to you, it talked about surrender. And after I read that, of course, my little mind starts working away at things. And I decided that I wanted to know what I would surrender to. And if for those of you who have been here long enough, you know that I did a talk where I swore I would never surrender. Then I did a talk where I said, no, I will surrender. And now I'm going to tell you what I'm going to surrender to. This is what I came up with. I surrender to the love that created me. I surrender to the love that sustains me, and I surrender to the love that I am. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get ready for our meditation, and I'm going to read those things twice. If you want to say them with me as an affirmation, you may, but you don't have to. You can just sit and be there. And then we're just going to go into the silence, and I want you to see if those things resonate with you in any way, shape, or form. Or anything I've had to say today resonates with you in any way, shape, or form. So let us go into our meditation now. So make yourselves comfortable. You guys at home, don't lean too far back in those recliners. Kathy, don't lean too far back in that recliner, because you'll fall asleep. So let's all take a big, nice, deep breath together. In and out. And in and out. And one last time. In and out. I surrender to the love that created me. I surrender to the love that sustains me. I surrender to the love that I am. One last time. I surrender to the love that created me. I surrender to the love that sustains me. I surrender to the love that I am. So gently, very gently, take another breath in and let it out. And slowly open your eyes. And return to this place. Knowing at all times the hub of that wheel where we're all one exists just at the other end of the spoke. And we can go there at any time, anywhere, and be made whole, made perfect, and all the love that we could possibly take in. So it is time for us to say our prayer for protection. I swear when I practiced this at home, it took me almost 45 minutes to do this talk. If I did it in 25 minutes, I'm sorry. You're just going to get to go to lunch sooner. So let's say the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. Power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.